Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our next series in the SAMP community, COVID Conversations. I'm Laurie Serafini. I'm here today with Paul Roos. G'day, Paul. How are you doing?
Hello, Lorenzo, my friend. How are you?
Lovely to talk to you. You don't have to be as formal, but thank you. Paul doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'll give him one anyway, just for today. We all know your footy background, Paul. 356 amazing games with Fitzroy Football Club and the Swans and the big premiership in 2005. But I really want to focus in on today. I mean, you can slip in a couple of footy stories, but we really want to focus in on performance by design today for our viewers, particularly as you being founder and director. Your work there is mainly around team behaviours, culture, leadership, consulting to a lot of different groups. Who's the typical client there, Paul?
Yeah, it's something we get asked a lot, actually. I mean, we actually work with some really small companies, some startups, because the great thing about working with startups is you get your culture right early, all the way through to some of the bigger companies in Australia, building industries, car industry, medical industry. So it really comes back to, as you said, mate, is we just try and create a really, really good culture, and we concentrate a lot on behaviours. You know, how do you want to act when you go into work? And I talk about not leaving your culture to chance, you know. And I think when you and I were together at Fitzroy, we just had a really good group of guys and we created a really good culture. But you can leave it to chance and you can sort of say, oh, well, yeah, typically that's a good way to do it, just get good people. But what I tend to say is, how do you not leave your culture to chance? How do you actually build it? And that's what I really did when I started at Sydney. And now I'm loving doing it in the corporate world since I finished at Melbourne Footy Club. Yeah, but we have a lot of different clients.
Okay. Well, let's start at the beginning. Here, particularly in Melbourne, you and I have been in lockdown since the very end of March. And I know, speaking for myself, it's been tough. Some days have been good, some days are bad. Today, looking outside, it's a beautiful sunny day. But sometimes we're crawling up the walls, and I'm sure it's been a bit like that for you as well. I reckon a good place to start is let's have a look at, let's say the team at work. You probably haven't seen your team for nearly 5 or 6 months now. And Paul, how do you reckon we help them when they may be feeling isolated at home? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's happening everywhere. I think the first lockdown, mate, everyone was like, okay, yeah, we can get through it. I think there's no doubt the second lockdown, people are getting angrier and frustrated and really looking forward to getting back into the office and I don't think it's going to go back to absolute normal, as in 5 days a week. But a lot of people we're dealing with, a lot of our clients are now saying, gee, we'd love to have some face-to-face contact. There's obviously been some real challenges around homeschooling and things like that. I mean, one of the things that we really talk a lot about is building relationships in this period of time, because it's really, really important. And as you said, it's difficult to do because at a typical workplace, you might walk past 10 people from the moment you get in to the moment you get your desk, and it's g'day Laurie, g'day Roosie, how'd you do on the weekend? Now, we haven't got that opportunity. So what we encourage people to do is just shoot someone a text, and not work-related stuff. Really start and finish a meeting perhaps with, some of your biggest challenges. How's the family going? What are your biggest wins for the week, et cetera, et cetera. So I think the ability to connect has been really, really important for our clients, and we're really encouraging them to do it, because you're right, they are really now starting to miss that team environment and missing. There's certainly been some benefits of staying at home, not getting in the car and not travelling and not getting on the train and all those sorts of things, spending more time with the family. But I think in terms of that real team culture, people are starting to really miss that.
Yeah. Roosie, this is the first time I put a shirt on for 5 months, so I know what you mean. What about, in all seriousness, though, I know you're big on communication and you'll talk about that, but the idea of connecting and shooting a text, to me, that would seem pretty easy. But what have you found with the average leader and the average team?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like, I think people that have been doing it prior to the COVID, as in really concentrating on relationships and concentrating on their culture, I think they've actually found during this period, it's sort of like, wow, the work we put in is really working because, I didn't realise, but Laurie's been connecting with his staff and I've just got some messages from the staff saying, it's great to hear Laurie shoot something out every Friday, in a WhatsApp group and make sure we're all okay. Yeah. But you can't, that's got to be built over time, and I think what I'm seeing is people that haven't been doing it are really now going, wow, I'm not sure what Laurie's doing. There's a little bit of mistrust going on in the business now. People are checking in, but not really checking in to see how they are. They're checking in to say, are you working? Yeah. What are you doing? All that sort of stuff. So it's a great point. And I think one of the things I get frustrated a bit when people ask me, do you think people have stepped up under pressure during this COVID? It's one of the most ridiculous notions. If you're waiting for a pandemic to be a great leader, well, you're missing a great opportunity to set your culture up, because culture is just habits over a period of time. It shouldn't matter whether things are going really well or things are going really bad. I think for the ones that haven't put the time into their culture, their leadership, their behaviours, their relationships, they're really finding this period difficult. For the ones that have, the CEOs, the leaders, the teams, they're saying, actually, gee, it's actually been a lot better than we thought it was going to be. But they're prepared for it, and they've really worked on it up until, when was it, March or whenever we sort of went into this crisis.
So what I think he's saying is, if you're a connected team and you're a connected leader, this COVID challenge may not have been that big, but if you're the type of leader who didn't have a lot to do with your people, or you sent emails instead of talking to them, instead of walking 10 metres, you'd flick them an email, you didn't have a lot to do with your team, you're not good with your people skills, then this might bring you undone, or it'll certainly show you up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. It all comes back to trust. Do you trust each other? And how do you build that trust? You build the trust with having really good relationships, having a really clear set of behaviours, how you want to act at the office and at work, and et cetera, and by having a really honest and open conversations, creating psychological safety so everyone feels like they can speak up in the office. That's how you build trust. Now, if you haven't done that as a leader or a leadership team or whatever it is, prior to this period, you're exactly right. Suddenly it's like, oh, okay, well, what's Paul doing now? And then all of a sudden your phone rings and it's Laurie Serafini, the boss, and I'm thinking, hang on, he never rings me unless he's going to yell at me or he's checking up on me, as opposed to, oh, bloody, Sarah's ringing me again. Oh, you ring me all the time. I used to catch up with me for lunch, when we were at the office. G'day, mate, how are you? Great to talk to you. What's going on? Oh, Roosie, how's Tammy going? How's the wife? It's a dramatically different culture when you've built those really strong relationships. You've created that psychological safety, as I said, a clear set of behaviours, how we're going to act. And through this period, a lot of our clients that we've been working with for a long time have found it challenging, but nowhere near as challenging as some of the other ones that haven't really got a grasp on that concept yet.
Yeah. Have you given a lot of thought to when we get out of this mess and we go back to work? I'm reading that we've now shown we can work from home. There might be 1 or 2 days where you work from home. There might be 3 days when you're in the office. How's the good leader going to motivate their team?
Yeah, it's interesting. I probably have a different view around this work from home concept. I don't think we'll go back absolutely to 5 days, but there's too much information on connection, people feeling valued, people wanting to be part of a team.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to do that when you're sitting at home in front of the office, in front of the computer screen. Yeah. So I tend to think we're going to be 4-3, maybe at worst sort of, 3 days in the office, 4 days at home, but I think it'll be more 3 at home, 4 in the office sort of type thing. Because, as I said, people want to feel valued. People want to feel part of a team. They want to feel like they've got some really good self-worth. And then as a leader, good leaders want to connect with their staff, want to relate to their staff, as I said. So I don't think it'll be the 5 day a week at home, because I really, really think we're going to see some serious problems if that happens, and I think we're already starting to feel isolated now a bit. We're already starting to miss our team, but we've got to balance up the benefits of productivity and not getting in the car all the time. And so I think there will be a shift, but mate, good leadership to me doesn't change. Whether you're in the office, whether you're at home, it doesn't change. You know, a good leader has to be really self-aware, has great self-awareness, has to be great empathy with his staff, has to be vulnerable. You know, a great leader is vulnerable. You know, a great leader says, I'm not right. You know, a great leader asks really good questions. That's not going to change whether you're sitting in the office, which is, you know, with all your books in the background, Sarah, just finishing reading Paul Roos' Here It Is, which is a great autobiography. I hope you've read that one.
There it is there. Yep, lovely. Page 55 is fantastic. Thanks for the mention.
Excellent. So I don't think it's going to change. I really do. I think a good leader has those traits regardless. Yeah, the challenge for a leader who is very relationship driven, as I said, will be at work. That's his comfortable domain because he can get around and talk to 20 or 30 people during the day, you know, in and out of meetings. That's really challenging at home. So it's just about time management, getting in a really set routine, setting up WhatsApp groups, as I said, setting up really clear strategic Zoom meetings regularly, you know, all the time. We talk about the performance by design, little and often conversations, you know, to build habits, you know, having them regularly.
I was going to quote, I saw on your website, the little and often moments of positive interaction that matter most, especially under stress, especially in 2020 COVID. Positive moments of interaction. So go on, you were just going to talk about that. What are you meaning there?
Yeah, exactly. And as I said, like, what we encourage our clients to do is start off every meeting with a shout out. Yeah, and you can change the questions. You know, who wants to give a shout out to someone in the room this week that's done something really well?
Yeah.
I'd love to shout out to Laurie. Yeah, look, I just really love the way he helped me in the meeting yesterday. I was stumbling a bit over my presentation and he jumped in and he said, guys, can I jump in, Roosie? Just that slide there, blah, 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 blah. I really want to give a shout out to it. So that's what we're talking about, little and often conversations, and you're doing them regularly. Gratitude is a great way to start off a meeting. You know, what are you grateful for today, Laurie? I'm grateful for the sun's out. You know, I've got a lovely wife, Catherine, and we went for a walk today and, you know, it was fantastic. So they're the things we're talking about. Building connection, building relationships, having little often conversations, and you start to build habits over time.
Okay. I had another question here. When the good leader hasn't seen his team, haven't had that touchy-feely face-to-face meetings in the office, does that change things? Because it's, for us, particularly in Melbourne, it's been 4 or 5 months now. You talked about habits and behaviours. What are maybe let's pick 5. What are the great 5 habits and behaviours of a great, well-functioning, high-performance team?
Yeah, I think the first one, Sarah, it's interesting because you and I came from a football background. And it's interesting going into the corporate world. And as silly as it sounds, I think the first thing is understanding we are a team. Because so many companies we go into and they're very siloed, and the marketing department works by themselves and then the sales department works by themselves. And it's interesting, when we go through it, I often say that in the workshops, do you guys see yourselves as a team or not? And they're like, oh yeah, no, not really. So the first part is we are a team. And I say this a lot, just because you put a sign on the wall and you have an office space doesn't make you a team. All right, so having to have a team mindset. Now that starts with a leader. All right, the second thing is clear behaviours. You know, how do we want to act as a team? You know, and again, if I go back to my footy days, I think the leaders of when I first arrived at Fitzroy, I just watched them and I thought, well, they turn up to training on time. Yeah. They train really, really hard. They come on the off nights, you know, so they're all of a sudden, so we can create that at the business. What are the clear behaviours? Relationships, which I've already gone over. If we want to build a team, then I have to know what makes you tick. I have to understand you. Yeah. I have to feel connected to you. I have to feel like you care for you. So you have to build really strong relationships. Reward and challenge. You know, reward and challenge. We can, as a team, and footy's, again, sorry for going back to footy all the time, but footy, we reward and challenge. We review games, we preview games, we continue to get better. So be really sound. You know, well done last week. Well done for this. Laurie, don't do this. All right, yeah. That's the system. And the other one, when I was thinking through it, have fun. You know, you got to create, and that comes through relationships. Have fun. who wants to go to work and the alarm goes off? It's like, oh, geez, I've got to go to Laurie Serafini and Paul Roos solicitor's office today. And, Roosie and they're two of the most boring people I've ever met. And, bloody hell, alarm goes off. You can't wait to sleep in another 10 minutes. Create a really fun environment, and so they're probably the 5, Laurie, off the top of my head, when we touched on it, to create a really and they're doable. It's not, and I say it's not rocket science. Keep it really simple in relation to creating your team, but they're probably 5 that I can come up with.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think we're all under the pump at the minute because we're not having much fun, are we? And we're still trying to work from home. Maybe the last one, just to leave you on, because we're running out of time. When we do get back to work, and a lot of the times you haven't seen your people. I think, like you said, in the first month, Zoom was fun, but now we're all a little bit of fatigue and we're a bit over it. When you do get back to work, there might be some who will jump at the desk and get on with it. There might be some that are flat. Have you got a little bit of a word of advice about getting back to work and seeing your colleagues again and sort of picking up where we left off in March, April?
Yeah, I don't think you can pretend that we can just pick it up 100%. I think we just can't pretend, oh, g'day, Laurie, how are you? How's it been? And I reckon in this period too, we've all got a bit frustrated. We may have all said things we didn't really mean. We may have sent an ugly email, sent an ugly text message. What I've said to a number of the clients is clear the air. That's the first thing I'd be doing. I'd be getting people together as a town hall and saying, look, does anyone want to say something today? I, as a leader, would like to apologise. I've got a list of 5 people. Laurie, I really shouldn't have sent that email. I was under pressure and I really apologise. Mary, look, same with you, Mary, Roosie, etc., etc. Let's not pretend it's the same because I think if we don't confront some of the issues that we've had, then that water cooler talk will continue to happen. If we confront the issues from day one, we get them under the table. Laurie comes up to me after the meeting and says, thanks, Roosie, that was really nice. Look, I wasn't really that offended. I understand. No, it doesn't matter, mate. I shouldn't have done it. Bang. At least we're now starting at a really good place. And then just keep implementing the things that you were trying to do before. Or if you found some holes in your organisation and you need to get people into help or whatever. Because I think the other thing, Laurie, through this period is you will know who your good staff are and who your bad staff are. And so many of our clients have said that. A lot of people have been exposed during this period and you will know the ones that have stepped up and the ones that you've gone, gee, he or she, they're seriously good. So have some really honest conversations, but it's got to start with the leader. It's got to start with the leader being vulnerable and saying, I got this wrong and I apologise. And does anyone else want to speak up? We want to create a really, really safe environment here. And then once we've done that, we clear the air and then we move forward to the next phase of our business.
So I know we're all wearing masks, but what I'm hearing you say is the leader has to take off his mask and show the real you, the vulnerability, as you said. I know that's a big word at the moment. Your empathy and your honesty. That's fantastic, Roosie. So look, I think in summary, thank you so much for joining us. My takeaways, help me if I've missed anything. I know you're big on communication and you're talking to your people. What I heard also was not only talk about work, but talk about how you're really feeling, what's going on. How's your wife, Tammy? How's your wife, Catherine? How are you feeling today? What do you think of the footy on the weekend? How's the home renovation going? Anything at all. The other one was connection, which is part of that, really connect. And I guess that's not easy, is it? Sometimes people have good communication skills and they love a chat, but others just want to get their work done and go home and see the kids. So that's important. Communication, connection, vulnerability, I heard. What other thing would stand out? There was one other that I've lost.
Probably just a clear set of behaviours, mate. Just really, if you haven't got them, really, most companies have a purpose and values, but we work really much in the behaviour space because honesty as a value might be slightly different to you and I. Like I might say, Laurie, why didn't you tell me that after the meeting last week? That's not being honest. And you might say, well, yeah, Bruce, I thought I was honest because I didn't really think you needed to know that.
Yeah.
Whereas a behaviour, let's say, tell the truth. Laurie, I asked you last week whether you knew about that proposal for XYZ, and you said you didn't. Yeah, well, that's honest. No, but hang on, our behaviour is tell the truth. Did you tell the truth? No, Roosie, I'm sorry, I didn't. So see the difference between a value and a behaviour. So a really clear set of behaviours, and reward and challenge and review, and keep getting better as an organisation.
And one other was trust. You mentioned a lot.
Yeah.
Trusting of, and that's interesting because we're all working at home. We can't see what our team's doing. We've got to trust them. I guess some people will be better than others on that. That's going to be tested right through this year and then the next year, and when we're working from home and working from the office. Roosie, thank you. That was a crash course on a bit of teamwork, a little bit of culture, and a lot of leadership. Appreciate your time. I know your time's valuable, and if we go over 20 minutes, I know you're going to send me an invoice. So
yeah. I think I'll send you one anyway. I'll send you one anyway. You won't pay it though.
Don't send it to me. I'll tell you who to send it to.
Mate, thanks a lot. That was great. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. No, champion, thanks so much for your time, and great to see you again. Stay well, and love to the family. I know it's tough at the moment for all of us, but thanks for a couple of gems, and much appreciated. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, mate.